Emma gently opened her eyes, the soft morning light filtering through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the room. She turned to find her husband, Hugo, soundly asleep beside her. His chest rose and fell in a serene rhythm, a comforting sight that made her heart swell with affection. Married for just 3 months, the couple was still immersed in the joy of discovery and mutual enchantment. As Emma observed Hugo, she couldn't help but smile at his features, his neatly trimmed dark brown hair, his strong jawline, and the peaceful expression that adorned his face. Although he was not the typical man she had envisioned for herself, his reserved demeanor had initially made her feel uncertain yet intrigued. He was an architect at a prestigious firm in the city, a dedication Emma greatly admired. At 32, Emma was an engineer of average height, with short hair framing her warm, honey-colored eyes, which often captivated those around her. Their paths had crossed in a co-working space, where Emma had been waiting for a client, while Hugo sat at the adjacent table, engrossed in blueprints and project sketches. Fascinated by his intense focus, she found herself stealing glances his way, the chemistry between them palpable. In a spontaneous moment, Hugo struck up a conversation that quickly became light and engaging, revealing surprising commonalities and shared interests. By the end of their interaction, Hugo had invited Emma for coffee, and without hesitation, she accepted, marking the beginning of their inseparable bond. Carefully, Emma slipped out of bed, conscious of the gentle warmth radiating from Hugo, not wanting to wake him. It was Saturday, and she felt a surge of excitement at the thought of preparing a special breakfast for them. Descending the stairs of their cozy 2-story home, nestled in a quiet neighborhood on the city's outskirts, she entered the spacious, sunlit kitchen. The large window offered a view of their backyard garden, where flowers bloomed vibrantly. As she prepared waffles and chopped fruits, Emma reflected on how dramatically her life had transformed in recent months. Marriage had brought her a sense of completeness she had never imagined. To her, Hugo was not only a husband but also her best friend, confidant, and the safe haven she had always longed for. About half an hour later, the delicious aroma wafted through the house, drawing Hugo downstairs. His eyes lit up at the sight of Emma in the kitchen, and he embraced her from behind, planting a gentle kiss on her neck. "Good morning, my love," he whispered, his voice still thick with sleep. "This all smells wonderful." Turning in his arms, Emma smiled, a warmth spreading through her. "Good morning, sleepyhead. I thought we deserved a special breakfast today." They settled at the kitchen table, the air filled with laughter and love as they excitedly discussed their weekend plans. Hugo mentioned needing to finalize details for an important project, and Emma, ever supportive, offered to help organize his home office after breakfast. While Hugo took a shower, Emma decided to tidy up the office, a small yet cozy space featuring a dark wood desk and shelves filled with books on architecture and design. As she sorted through scattered papers and various items, she noticed the bottom drawer of the desk slightly ajar. Curiosity piqued. She opened it fully, searching for a pen that Hugo had claimed to have lost. Instead, her fingers brushed against something stuck at the bottom, an old photograph. Her heart raced as she pulled it out, nearly stopping when she realized it was a wedding photo. A younger Hugo smiled beside a dark-haired bride with bright eyes, yet it wasn't Emma. A wave of nausea washed over her, and it felt as if the ground had vanished beneath her feet. Her hands trembled as she clutched the photograph, unable to look away. A flood of questions overwhelmed her. Who was this woman? Why had Hugo never mentioned a previous marriage? What else was he hiding? Just then, she heard the shower turn off down the hall, causing panic to swell in her chest. Quickly, she returned the photo to the drawer and closed it, her heart pounding so loudly she feared Hugo might hear from across the house. When Hugo entered the office, he found Emma sitting in the chair, her expression distant and her mind racing. Concern etched across his face, he asked, "Emma, is everything okay?" She attempted a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, just a little tired. I think I'll rest for a bit." Hugo watched her leave, a crease of worry forming on his forehead. Climbing the stairs, Emma felt as if she were carrying the weight of the world. The rest of the day slipped by in a blur. She tried to act normally, but her thoughts kept drifting back to that photograph, the image of a woman who had shared a life with Hugo and the secrets that lingered unspoken. Lying beside Hugo that night, Sleep eluded her. The silence of the night amplified her turbulent thoughts, each one more haunting than the last. The next day, the tension was palpable. Hugo sensed something was wrong, but every attempt to engage Emma met with evasive responses. She knew she couldn't continue like this. The doubt was gnawing at her. Finally, on Sunday night, Emma mustered her courage. As they sat in the living room, the television casting a soft glow over them of the program neither was truly watching, she began, her voice trembling, "Hugo, I need to ask you something." Noticing the seriousness in her tone, he turned to her, concern etched on his features. "Of course, love. What is it?" Taking a deep breath, Emma gathered her strength. "Yesterday, when I was tidying up your office, I found a photo." Hugo's face instantly paled, a heavy silence hanging in the air as sadness and regret filled his eyes. "A wedding photo," Emma continued, her voice nearly a whisper, "but the bride wasn't me." Hugo closed his eyes, as if in physical pain, and when he opened them again, they were filled with tears. "Emma, I'm sorry. I should have told you before." He took a deep breath, preparing to reveal a part of his past. Hugo continued, long tried to conceal. "We married young. Her name was Sarah. Never anticipating the trials ahead. His voice heavy with emotion. Everything she was my wife, and she passed away distant. A few years ago. Started forgetting Emma simple blinked, things. Surprised. Emma listened. This was intently, not the scenario her mind recognizing the weight of his pain, her heart aching for him. "Forgive me for not sharing this sooner. It was traumatic. Sarah was diagnosed with a degenerative psychiatric illness. There was no cure." The silence enveloped him again, a painful reminder of the past that still haunted him. "Our marriage ceased to be a marriage early on. It turned into a slow and painful farewell until her parents decided to institutionalize her." Emma felt a lump form in her throat, watching him swallow hard. "I stayed by her side until the end," he murmured, "even when she no longer recognized me." Tears streamed down his face as he continued, "When Sarah passed away, I was lost. I spent years trying to piece myself back together. Her parents encouraged me to move on and find happiness again. They knew how much I had suffered." Hugo looked directly into Emma's eyes, tenderness mingling with sorrow in his voice. "When I met you, I never expected to fall in love again. I thought that part of my life was over, but my love for you came unexpectedly, intensely and genuinely." He paused, swallowing hard. "I know I should have told you about Sarah earlier, but the trauma was too hard to revisit. I feared you might feel insecure or less loved if you knew." Emma felt a mix of emotions, hurt and betrayal for Hugo's secrecy, but also compassion for the suffering he endured. "Hugo, she started, but words failed her. What could she say in response to such a profound revelation?" Sensing her turmoil, he added, "I understand if you need time to process this. My love for you is real and true. Sarah's part of my past, a painful part that shaped me, but you are my present and my future." Emma nodded slowly, still grappling with her feelings. "I need some time," she finally said, her voice low. "Not because I don't believe in you or your love, but because you hid something so significant from me. What else might you be concealing?" Hugo acknowledged her need for space, agreeing to respect her decision. Emma asked to stay at her sister Olivia's house, feeling oddly betrayed and in need of distance from a man she loved. The nights were long, filled with deep conversations and reflections. Olivia listened patiently, offering support, but mostly being a shoulder for Emma to lean on. "I feel betrayed by his silence," Emma confessed one night over tea, her voice thick with emotion. "But at the same time, I understand how heavy this story is for him. It's so complicated." Looking at her with understanding, Olivia replied, "Love is like that, Emma, complicated and nuanced. The question is, do you think what you two have is strong enough to overcome this?" Emma pondered the question for a long time, reflecting on her moments with Hugo, his deep affection, the safety he provided, and the way he made her feel cherished. She remembered his expression when discussing Sarah, the pain evident in his words, and the vulnerability he had shown. After a week, Emma felt ready to return home. Though her heart remained heavy, she gained clarity about her feelings and the path forward. Upon her arrival, she found Hugo sitting on the living room sofa, his gaze downcast and breathing tense. He looked up, hope and apprehension mingling in his expression, as if he was bracing himself for whatever was to come. Emma approached slowly and sat beside him, their fingers almost touching as she gathered her thoughts. "I understand now," she said, her voice firm yet gentle. "You didn't tell me because you were still trying to cope, but I am your wife, and I want us to share everything, even the pains of the past." Hugo's eyes filled with tears of relief as he grasped her hands, feeling the weight of years of silence beginning to lift. "I promise, Emma, there will be no more secrets between us. You deserve to know everything about me, and I want to share it all with you, not out of obligation, but because you are my partner, my life. I want us to build this together without fear or shadows." Tears streamed down Emma's face, a mix of pain and relief washing over her. She recognized that the road ahead would be challenging, but their love was stronger than any secret. "I want that too, Hugo," she replied, her voice steady despite the emotions swirling within her. "I want us to be true to each other, even when it's hard, because that's how we grow together." In the following days and weeks, Hugo and Emma spent countless hours in conversation. He revealed more about his life with Sarah, sharing photos, letters, and keepsakes kept in a box at the back of the closet. This painful yet cathartic process allowed Hugo to finally speak openly about his past. He recounted the happy moments and dreams they had forged together, as well as the sorrow watching Sarah fade away due to her illness. Emma listened with compassion, feeling her heart tighten at his pain, but also grateful for his trust. Gradually, her initial insecurities transformed into a deeper understanding of the man she had married. Emma recognized that Hugo's love for Sarah did not diminish his love for her. They were simply different loves from different times, each with its own significance. What surprised her most was how these deep discussions brought them closer, creating an intimacy they had never known. They learned that forgiveness was not merely about forgetting the past, but about choosing to move forward together with empathy and understanding. By allowing Hugo to be vulnerable, Emma also found the courage to share her own insecurities and fears. Together, they discovered that true connection arises from the willingness to show oneself completely, imperfections, and all. Over time, their difficult conversations became moments of healing, leading to a foundation of trust and respect that strengthened their marriage in ways they had never anticipated. Years later, Emma would reflect on that painful discovery as a pivotal moment, the point at which they chose love over secrecy, overcoming their past to build a stronger, deeper, and happier marriage. Hugo and Emma learned that forgiveness is not a destination, but a journey, and true intimacy comes from the courage to be fully open with one another. Together, they found not only love, but also the peace that comes from knowing they could face anything as long as they stood united.